Hey going guys, and welcome to the non-functional board game review. Today we're going to be looking at Puerto Rico. Now, Puerto Rico is an 18-year-old game, rated an average of 8.0 on Board Game Geek, and classified as the 26th best game of all time. Now, why are we starting with a game that's 18 years old, you might ask? Well, because I just moved, and when I put my games up randomly, it was 300, which I haven't played yet, and Puerto Rico. So, no real method to the madness there. Anyway, Puerto Rico is what you would describe as a Euro game, as opposed to an Ameritrash, someone was trying to rename that Amerithrash. It's just classic Euro game. I enjoy both games because I am the neckiest of neckbeards. If it's a board game, I'll play it. Brother, what are you doing? I'm applying my neckbeard oil. Why? Because my lady doth request it. Put the neckbeard oil down. We're going out. We're bringing the championship. Think of all the women we'll get. Ha! You keep your loose women. I'm a tier 3 Pokemon sub. Thank you very much. So let's take the box, move to a different part of the house, crack it open, and let's have a look at the components, and we'll go through some rules while we do it. So here we have the player board for Puerto Rico. Every player will have an individual one of these, and as you can see, it's divided into 3 very distinct separate parts. You've got the rules right here, which is very handy. You've got your island here, which you will use to grow crops. And then you have your city here, which you will place buildings on, and they will be able to do things with those crops that you have grown. The rules here are relevant. You need to reference them often, because how the game works is you will pick an action. Everyone at the table will get to do that action, but you will get to do the privilege. And it all becomes a timing thing. The aim of the game, of course, is to win, and you win by having the most points. You get the most points by sending your manufactured goods on a ship away, and that will get you victory points. So you may want to take the captain, which will let you send your goods away and give you an extra victory point for doing so. But you might not have the goods to send them yet, so if you actually may need to do the craftsman first. However, you might have a couple of goods left over in your warehouse, and you decide it's better for you to send them now and get less points, because everyone else at the table needs to use the craftsman, and once an action's been taken, it's been taken. So it becomes this jostling situation of when is the opportune time for me to take that action, but also not to give too many bonus points to the people around, because sometimes the privilege isn't a good enough reason to do it. You will buy, when you take the builder phase, you'll be able to buy off of this sheet here. As you can see, it moves up in tiers, which you'll be able to tier up your island as to what you can build. So it starts with, very small indigo plants and sugar mills, and they're really going to be how you generate your points. You can see there are spots here that require a worker to be placed on them. And let's not beat around the bush, these workers are slaves. That's why there has been some talk in the past about possibly making them not a brown disc, considering they are slaves. That is what it is. So again, that's another action that you can do. You can bring slaves into your plantation, and then you assign them to the buildings that you make, such like that, putting them there, and that will let you power that building. So most likely you're not going to be able to have all of your buildings powered, all of your farms occupied at the same time. It comes down to, what is best at the time. These are where the victory points come from. These are your manufactured goods. They all look the same. They are simply a different colour. So as far as component-wise goes, it's pretty basic. Obviously, there's also a currency component and a victory points component, but they are just they're just cardboard discs. You've got your farms here. They're just little squares of cardboard. It's all very basic. It's a bare bones structure just to get you enough visual representation to be able to play the game. This game is less about the visual and obviously more about the gameplay itself, which is very strong. Very strong gameplay. When you first play Puerto Rico, you're most likely not going to appreciate the intricacies of taking which maneuver when. You know, for instance, you look at say, let's look at this one here, the prospector. No one gets to do anything except the person who took the prospector gets one doubloon. Now, one doubloon may not seem like that much, but it could come down to your option is to either take the one doubloon for yourself and give everyone else nothing, or let everyone else craft, so then when it comes time to be the captain, they're going to have goods to send and get victory points and you're not. That's where the real devil in the detail comes into. And unfortunately, I am, as of yet, unable to get a group to want to play this multiple times to be able to get there with them. But we will discuss that later. Alright, so before we get into what I rate Puerto Rico, let's talk about my experience with it. Let's, no, wait, hold on. Yep. Gotta make sure all the text is going the same way, roughly, or... Whew. My experience with Puerto Rico is I played Puerto Rico with my family. It did not go over well. That is to be expected. My family that I play games with are all boys, and they would much rather something like, what do we got here? What would be up their alley? They would much rather something like Twilight Struggle. No, I'm joking. They would hate Twilight Struggle. They'd rather play something like the DC Deck Builder, or the Betrayal, House on the Hill, or I've got is it Zombicide? Is that what it's called? The one where you're walking around with zombies? I have one of them somewhere. Oh my god, I'm drawing a massive minute. Yeah, Zombicide. Something like that. Something more Americanized, I guess. We don't want to throw that trash word out there. Someone might get upset. And that's fine. Every group's going to like different things. I've also brought Puerto Rico to 2 different games groups that I was part of for long enough to, start bringing games. I've got quite the collection here. If you include expansions, I have over 100 games, which I know some of you are like, 100 games? That was my first week. But it's more substantial than anyone I know in my area. So I brought Puerto Rico, thought I'd give it a try. 2 different groups, they just didn't vibe with it. And we're talking, one of these groups was a heavy Euro group. We would play things like Dungeon Pets or Caverna. We played Eldritch Horror. That's not really a Euro. No, I don't even know why I said Eldritch Horror. It just goes for a long time. Oh, Arkham Horror, even longer. But yeah, so, I played it with 3 different groups of people and not one group have really dug it. I think the most positive review I've got from someone I've played the game with was, oh yeah, it was alright. Sort of reminded me of this, but I liked this better. Or, yeah, it was good, but I don't know why you'd play this when you've got this. It's never someone's top pick. And you'd think for a game that's ranked 26th best game in the world, someone out there would like it. But apparently not. And I think what it comes down to is it's not a pretty game. The components are just different colours of the same thing. The tokens are little cardboard tokens. The island, you know, all the little tiles you're putting on the island, they're just tiles. There's not a whole lot of artwork to them. Nah man, gameplay over graphics. Yes, but gameplay over graphics. I agree, but I'm just, are you some sort of noob? Gameplay over graphics, man. Then why are you playing on Ultra, brother? You know, I don't want anyone to get me wrong here. I enjoy Puerto Rico. I think Puerto Rico is a good game. I think mechanically it's very solid. I don't mind that the components are a little meh. I've played games with worse components. Where I've got one here, Rise to Power. Rise to Power was a little Kickstarter game I picked up. Its components are terrible. Great game. But I think Puerto Rico, I'm done with Puerto Rico. I'm not bringing Puerto Rico to game night. I've just moved, so I need to find another board game group or bring my entire board game group 45 minutes up the road, which might be a bit rude. I guess I could go to them, but I don't want to. But yeah, so I'm done with Puerto Rico. I'm not bringing Puerto Rico out anymore. I'm not trying to introduce people to Puerto Rico. It's just not something that's going to happen. If someone else was to bring Puerto Rico out, I would happily play it. I don't think I've ever lost a game of Puerto Rico, to be honest, of the 4 times I've played it. But yeah, I would happily play it if someone else was to suggest it, but it's not a game I'm going to be suggesting to anyone anymore, just because I've been hurt too many times. I've been shot down too many times. And that's why I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to give Puerto Rico a 5 out of 10. Is that even visible? I think it's visible. I'm not wearing my glasses, I can't tell. Yeah, I have to give Puerto Rico a 5 out of 10. Because at the end of the day, it can't just come down to how much I like the game. If no one wants to play the game with me, then obviously I'm in the minority, right? I would rate Puerto Rico, on gameplay alone, I would rate Puerto Rico like a 7 out of 10. But the fact that no one wants to play it with me lowers it by 2 points. I mean, if you can't grab those people, you know, maybe I've played more games than my group. Maybe, you know, I'm more experienced than my group. But if the game can't get my group in, that's not a failing of my group, that's a failing of the game. So Puerto Rico gets a 5 out of 10. Please don't hate me. Thank you for watching. I have dozens more to do, which I'm sure we will get through, because Victoria is still in a COVID lockdown, as you can tell from this terrible hair. Oh, we're wearing a hat next time.